I am so tired of coming on this podcast every single week and telling you to stop playing T.Y. Hilton. Like, just stop it.
Mikey needs help.
Mikey needs help.
I was like, if you don't have Jeff Wilson in here, and if you don't run it on first down, I'm going to strangle you through that TV.
You should know better than everyone else. That fool tears you up when you plays you.
Yeah, but
Don't you want him on your team?
I have him at number 25.
Thank you. Fine. Todd's the reasonable one on this show.
I take issue with everything he said there.
Well,
I really do.
DeAndre Swift. He's going to break them tackles, son.
That's bold. That's bold. That's putting your nuts on the table right there.
Hey, there's the first time for everything.
Waxing poetic over here with Todd Diamond.
Dude's old.
So what? He's not as old as Brady, and you're jerking him off before the show starts.
I have Sutton in my top 10. I have him at number 9. Yes.
You know what? I'm just canceling the league. I can't do this with you guys. There are no more unbeaten teams in the Mile High Affiliates Fantasy Football League. And the Belt Sanders, they're 3-1 after 4 weeks. What is going on in the world? Thanks for tuning in to the MHA podcast. What's up, fellas? Eric Lansing along with Todd Diamond and Mikey Renault. Good week for the podcasters and a lot of smiling, positive vibes here. Also, Mikey Renault fighting tooth and nail in his fantasy baseball playoffs, which are still going on for him. And we're all rooting for Miguel to come up with that. So, Mikey, how you feeling? You're 3-1, the number 1 team in our fantasy football league, and you're on the verge of possibly winning a fantasy baseball championship.
I have excited and nervous energy at the same time. It's great.
You may hear Mikey scream and holler. They're in the thick of it right now. It goes until tomorrow, and he's trying to accumulate some points and drop the whip on his opponent. So if you hear some screaming, that's probably what it's all about. Todd, how you feeling? You took down a behemoth this week.
Absolutely. 2-2, kind of back into it. The way my team performed. I mean, this is talking about trying to get back, in into the thick of things. Performance like I had, 164 points. Yeah.
We'll talk more about that as we go along here. I don't want to give up too much on what's going on there, but well done, Todd. And then I led the week in scoring this week. So good week for the podcasters. So let's get right into it. We'll start off with some news.
Well, this reporter was possibly a little hasty earlier. Would like to reaffirm his allegiance to this country and its human president. May not be perfect, but it's still the best government we have. For now.
And there's not a lot of stuff, and if I miss anything, of course, just let me know. But of course, the recently traded in our league, Tua Tagovailoa took a scary tackle into the turf on Thursday, left the game early. Won't play this week, but doesn't sound like it's going to be too much of a long-term deal. So good thing for Mr. Cooper's Cousins. Javonte Williams out for the season after tearing his ACL and LCL against the Raiders on Sunday. So the Broncos didn't think that maybe Melvin Gordon could handle the load, bringing in Latavius Murray off the Saints practice squad. It was the Saints, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Just double checking. I didn't really look it up, but I'm pretty sure that was what it was. So Latavius Murray out there in the waiver wire. He'll probably not by the time you guys will listen to this, actually be on a team by the time you listen to this. Also recently traded, Cordero Patterson put on the IR after going through a knee procedure. He will miss at least the next 4 games. Well, these trades are really paying off for folks. Jonathan Taylor's a bit banged up, dealing with an ankle injury. Seems like he'll be good to go versus the Broncos. Maybe not. Fingers crossed for us Bronco fans, who just gave up a ton of rushing yards to Josh Jacobs. I think we'll mention him in this broadcast. Bill slot wide receiver Jamison Crowder will also head to the IR after breaking his ankle versus the Ravens. That could be a season ender, depending on how bad he broke it. But I only mention Crowder because Isaiah McKenzie should benefit greatly. He's already looked good in his part-time work, and now he's going to get more work. Commanders wide out. Jahan Dotson will miss a few weeks with a hamstring injury. He's had a pretty good rookie season so far. Might be good for me, who's running around with Curtis Samuel, who's had a pretty good season in his own right so far. Anything else I missed, gentlemen? That's all I really saw on the injury news anyway.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. No,
Last week was a lot, but was actually kind of tame.
Yeah. It's probably not a big deal and he's going to play, but they were saying Russell Wilson had some soreness, but he'll be good to go to play on Thursday night. So,
yeah, I saw something with his shoulder, so I figured he was going to be all right based on how everything that I read. Just some fun, quick stats that took place from week 4. Aaron Rodgers threw for his 499th and 500 touchdowns. Did so against the Patriots this weekend. He's the 5th player to throw for 500 touchdowns behind Breeze, Brady, Peyton, and Favre. Here's a quick question. This is not MHA trivia, but who leads the NFL in points scored this season? Anybody know? Which team?
Eagles?
I'll say Detroit.
Detroit is the correct answer. Which team leads the NFL in points allowed?
It's got to be Detroit.
It's Detroit. They have scored 140 points and have allowed 141 points. The 281 points is the most combined points and points allowed through 4 games in NFL history. Play your Lions and play anyone against the Lions. Travis Kelce just passed Rob Gronkowski for 5th place in receiving yards by a tight end. And one last note, Justin Herbert has passed for 300 yards. Let's try that again. Justin Herbert, he passed for 300 yards in a game again. This time for the 19th time in his young NFL career. That ties Andrew Luck for the most in a player's first 3 seasons. And we're just starting this 3rd season for Justin Herbert. Herbert has also thrown for 300 yards in 7 straight road games, which is 2nd longest behind Rich Gannon. So just some fun stats there. You guys ready for some MHA trivia?
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Well, you know me, always optimistic. Let's go.
I love it. No cheating by either of you. So this is how we're going to go. I'm going to ask you who's got more points. So I'm going to give you 2 players. You tell me who you think has more points. You guys can guess the same person. So it's not a big deal. No one has to scream out who they think, and then the other person has to take the second option. It's just whoever gets to 5 first, and we'll just keep going until we get to 5. Probably. We'll see how long this goes. Okay, so who's got more points on the season? Is it 1st round pick Christian McCaffrey, or is it 7th round pick Dameon Pierce? This, I guess, with the Jeopardy music.
Dameon Pierce.
Okay. For question number 1, Dameon Pierce to Todd. Mikey, who do you think has more points?
So something happened with the feed, so I missed the first name.
Sure. So who's got more points? Is it 1st round pick Christian McCaffrey or 7th round pick Dameon Pierce?
Christian McCaffrey.
Okay. And the answer is Christian McCaffrey. I was trying to trip you up with that first one. McCaffrey, 62 points. Dameon Pierce, 53. Obviously, Dameon Pierce had a big week this past week. McCaffrey's had a solid fantasy season so far, double figures in all 4 games. His first 20-point game he had this past weekend. McCaffrey 5th amongst all running backs. Pierce is 12th overall. He had 17 points in week 3, 25 in week 4. So both running backs having a really good season so far, especially Dameon Pierce. All right, so Mikey's up 1-0. Second question, who's got more points? Is it 6th overall pick Austin Eckler or 6th round pick Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
Oh, Helaire.
Mikey, you actually have Austin Eckler.
I know. I'll say Eckler. I mean, he had a lot of points this week. That would have made us a dent. And he's had double digits. I'll go Eckler.
All right. And the answer is Clyde Edwards-Helaire by an eyelash, 67-64. Despite the 27 receptions by Eckler on the season, the Chiefs starting running back has 5 total touchdowns. How about that? Clyde Edwards-Helaire is 4th in our league in scoring. Eckler right behind him in 5th spot. So we're all tied up at 1 apiece. All right, going to the third question. Who has more points, Aaron Rodgers or Matt Stafford? A couple of underperforming at QB so far here in 2022.
I'll go Matthew Stafford.
I'm going Rodgers. Stafford's been terrible the last couple of weeks.
Stafford has definitely been bad, but he's got more points than Rodgers, 154-152. Those two guys are 17th and 18th in scoring amongst QBs. Just 10 passing touchdowns among both of them. There are 4 quarterbacks who have 10 or more on their own, and these two have a combined 10. So nice job, Todd. You're up 2-1.
Yay. Woo.
Over till the fat lady sings, though. Still plenty more
Yeah.
to go. All right, who's got more points? Is it Geno Smith or Jalen Hurts?
Ooh, this was a tough one. 'Cause Geno Smith is
Tough
done.
one.
I'll go Jalen Hurts.
I'll go Jalen Hurts too.
Both go Jalen Hurts, and both of you would be correct by just 4 fantasy points. Hurts points. Trying to put those together. Separate words, Eric. Hurts 9th in scoring. Smith 10. Geno Smith has 6 passing touchdowns. Hurts has 4 rushing touchdowns and 200 rush yards. So you both get a point. Good job there. We go on to the next one. We'll go to some wide receivers. Who's got more points? Is it Jamar Chase or teammate T. Higgins?
Higgins.
Yeah, Higgins.
They both say T. Higgins, and you both would be incorrect. Chase is still up by 2 points, 48-46. Chase with 22 points, 7 points, 11 points, and 8 points. Higgins had 3 in week 1, 15 points, 9 points in week 3, and 19 points last weekend. Chase, an interesting number through all this, does have 41 targets. T. Higgins, 28. Interesting. All right, we go to another pair of wide receivers. I have to scroll down my list here. Let's take a look at these 3 wide receivers who got some big-time dough in the offseason. Who's got more points, A.J. Brown, Mike Williams, or Deebo Samuel?
Ooh. Mike Williams.
I'll say Brown.
I'll go Debo.
And the answer is, between these big-time paid wide receivers, it's A.J. Brown. He had 49 points, 10th in our league. Samuel right behind him at 48 points. He's 12th. And how about Mike Williams, 24th in our league in scoring with 41 points. So A.J. Brown has been pretty consistent this year. That offense has been incredible. Jalen Hurts up there, despite the lack of passing touchdowns, but he's getting these guys some targets. All right, it's tied 3-3 now. I have 3 more questions on this list, I should say. We'll see if we get to 5 before then. Question number 7, who's got more points, Curtis Samuel or CeeDee Lamb?
Samuel.
Yeah, I'll go Samuel.
And the correct answer is Curtis Samuel by 1 point. Curtis Samuel with 48. He's 12th in our league in points. CeeDee Lamb with 47. He's 14th in our points. Well done, gentlemen. Now we are tied 4-4. We'll go to question number 8, and this is going to be a fun one. This one makes me just giggle. Who's got more points, Julio Jones or Dante Pettis? Can you even tell me who Dante Pettis plays for? I had to look that up.
Chicago.
Oh, well done. Fine, whatever. You don't get a point for that, but who's got more points?
I'll say Pettis.
Yeah, Pettis.
All right, fine. I should have went the other direction, but Pettis is the correct answer. He's got 9 points. Julio Jones, 8.
Still believe in him, Todd?
I thought that number was going to be lower, but yeah, no, I admit,
All right, so this is how this question's going to work.
Okay.
I'm going to give Todd the chance to pick the answer to this first. And if he gets it right, obviously he gets right, he wins. But I'm going to give him the chance to win MHA Trivia by picking the answer to this question, okay? And then, Mikey, you just have to sit the back and see what happens. Okay, so I'm actually going cross positions here. Who leads all position players in points? Is it Nick Chubb or Cooper Kupp?
Ooh. Man. I'll go Cooper Kupp.
What do you think, Mikey? Is that the right answer? What would that have been if your guess? Mike, you still
I'll
with
just
us?
say yeah, I'm still with you. I'll just say Nick Chubb so we'll be different.
Okay. I mean, either or, he would have won because Cooper Kupp, 85 to 81.
Woo!
1 and 2 in position players. Kupp with 42 receptions and 3 touchdowns. Chubb leads the league in rushing, 459 yards, and he has 5 touchdowns. Todd Diamond, you did it! MHA trivia winner for week 4. Way to go, buddy.
Woo! All rise. See, Aaron
It's a good
Judge
day
hits
for
it.
Todd.
Aaron Judge breaks the
Good
record.
weekend.
Yeah, exactly. Aaron Judge breaks the record, and I win trivia. Woo!
Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing. I
let's
think we're
go.
gonna have to take some shots on Thursday.
Yeah.
What is Todd's choice? What is Todd's choice of shots? Because we gotta get something you like.
Yeah.
Keela guy.
I remember. He loves Fireball. I remember.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to die. I mean, I could just do like, shot of vodka with some Red Bull in it. That'd be fine.
All right. I'll try to remember to get some vodka and Red Bull. All right. Let's
Cool.
get into this week 3 recap. This is where Eric has to get the vocal cords ready. Also had to call a soccer game on Sunday, but they should still be okay. Let's get into it. Lion Rip came into week 4 as the only undefeated team in the MHA, but guess what? He did not leave week 4 as such, getting slayed by the Butterfingers, 164 to 108. Russell Wilson outscored Joe Burrow 47 to 43. Todd squad 7 players reached double figures, including the almighty TJ Hawkinson, who finally broke out after a relatively quiet start to the season. Lions tight end exploded for 30 points. We just mentioned Clyde Edwards-Helaire in his season. He continues to shine, piling up 22 points. The Butterfingers win, puts them at 500 at 2-2. Lion Rip falls to 3-1. Todd, give me some quick thoughts on your win this past weekend.
Wow. I mean, when your team is on, it's on. And TJ Hawkinson, holy crap, 8 receptions, 179 yards, and 2 TDs. Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. The team was just on. I mean, the Edwards-Helaire, that was just cherry on top because I already had the victory in hand. But just a great overall performance for my team, and it helps too. You get 17 points from defense, but other than that, I couldn't complain. I'm not even complaining about Garrett Wilson or Harris with their 4 or 7 points. I couldn't complain about that.
Yeah, there's no complaining.
Yeah, no, it was just great. It was a great overall win, and my team, showed up. And it's one thing when you get a win, to get back into it, but you have a performance like I did with a lot of my players in double digits, to win. But you're feeling pretty good on Sunday, and Monday I could just kick back and enjoy Monday Night Football. So there you go.
Well done, Todd Diamond. How about those belt sanders? Despite a mortal day from Josh Allen, Mike from the heavens, Evans, scores a season-high 25 points, 8 receptions, 2 of those going for touchdowns. And how about that 49ers defense? They sacked Matt Stafford 7 times and even scored a touchdown to make their way to 23 points. Chad Powers fan club drops to 1-3 after the 129-107 loss. Outside of week 1, Jonathan Taylor's not looked like the MVP candidate from 2021. Just 3 points, 20 attempts for 42 yards. The Hot Tamales now reside as the top team in all of the MHA, improving to 3-1, leading the league in scoring. He took down Kilgore Trout. High scoring affair in that one, 160-137. The Mahomes to Kelsey duo was on point this Sunday night. 70 points between the two. The Chargers decided to use Austin Eckler to his fullest capability. 32 points from the former RMAC running back. A lot of points scored for the unfortunate Trout squad, but Christian Kirk had his worst outing of the season, just 3 points. Trout's loss drops them to 2-2 after 4 games. Mikey, what do you want to say about your win this weekend?
I mean, I was very nervous going in, just knowing that, Joe has a really good team. I knew I was going to have to put up a lot of points in order to beat him. I mean, it was really a combination of finally getting a kicker right. I was the worst with kickers all season long. Finally came through with Brett Maher in his 16. And then the trade getting me T. Higgins was big, the
Mm-hmm.
19 from him. And then
Mm-hmm.
Eckler finally showing up as a first round pick. I mean, about time. That's what makes me really dangerous.
Yeah, if he can put up numbers like that, I mean, he's done well for you. He's at 8 or more in every game, but first round draft pick, you want to get those big time performances, and he definitely did that for you. So good job, Miguel.
Thank you.
2022 Tom Brady looked like 2021 Tom Brady, leading the Lemonheads to the highest score of the weekend. Unfortunately, on the other end were the Gonzo Cats, who had to deal with the 185 points. They only scored 97. Mr. Brady, 70 points. Justin Jefferson rebounded this week, tallying 23. Joe Mixon, 16 from Thursday night. Jalen Hurts had his kind of first bad outing of the season, just 31 total points, 16 completions, and a rushing TD. Eric's squad is now 2-2 and feeling a little better about things after a strong week 4. The Gonzo Cats also now at 2-2. The only thing I'll say, it was great not having to worry about Tom Brady. It's so funny. Fantasy is funny, folks. Because I pretty much had that game won before Brady even hit the field. And in the other league that Mike and I playing, we were playing each other, and Mikey had Tom Brady. And so his big day ended up crushing me in that one. But it was good to get the win this week. A lot of cool things happened. We'll talk about some of those, the kind of the stars from that game. But good to be at 2-2. I was feeling pretty bad. I think it was the lowest scoring team heading into the weekend, and then 185 puts me up there. So good to have a nice week scoring wise and getting the win. The defending champs, Notorious CUP, edged out a nail biter against Eaton W's 117-106. This one came down to the Monday night game between the Rams and the Niners. Kevin's squad up 97-79 before that game started. He had kicker Matt Gay, and Quayne had his quarterback in his back pocket with Matt Stafford. And you just didn't know what you were going to get from Matt Stafford. He has not had a great season. We just talked about it on the last podcast. He was sacked 7 times, as I mentioned, and did not throw a touchdown, but he got enough completions to get 38 points to give him the win and the 3-1 record. Eaton W's now find themselves 1-3. And we'll have to go forward, as we mentioned, without Javonte Williams. And after some bad luck in the first few weeks, the NWA was able to find their first victory of 2022 with a convincing beatdown of Cooper's Cousins. The final 164-111. Josh Jacobs, folks. I didn't get to see the Bronco game, but you guys did, and I guess it didn't go so well. He ran roughshod over the Broncos to the tune of 32 fantasy points, 144 rush yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 5 receptions. How about 28 points from his flex position? Miles Sanders has been great this year. 27 attempts, 134 yards, and 2 TDs. You got to feel bad for Dylan's team, who had 8 of his 9 players reach double figures. However, one of those was Tua, who only had 10 points before absolutely getting slammed into the turf. That was not pretty to watch, let me say. But there you go. That's how things went in week 4. Doe of the week, only saw one. Everybody else, or Mikey, did you notice anybody else other than the obvious one? Did you look?
Yeah, so I mean, there's the obvious one, which I believe is Kevin, but
Correct.
like
That's what I have.
most of the other ones, the games were like blowouts, so it's hard to like really find anything.
Yep. Sorry, Kevin. You're good. You're picking up the dough this week. You lost by 11. Of course, you can't control people getting hurt, but Javonte Williams got hurt. Managed only 3 points. Damian Pierce balled out for 25. I guess you could have played DK Metcalf over Drake London, but London's been good. The Seahawks wide receiver had 12 more points than the Falcons wide out. But there's no other team out there to decide, so way to go, Kevin.
No!
Pooped in your pants this week. There you go. Stars of the week.
The cream of the crop! Nobody does it better.
There are plenty. We talked about blowout wins. You had games of 185, 160, 164, 164. So a lot of amazing performances. Todd, who stood out to you in week 4?
Well, I'll just go with one of my guys because, having a good week.
Surprise.
But, I know. TJ Hawkinson, 30 points. Unfreaking believable. 2 touchdowns. Just give the man the ball. Now, granted, to his credit, half of their offensive Swift and Brown were all out. So obviously Goff had to throw the ball to somebody. But that's pretty good, especially you get 30 points from your tight end. you know, you got to put him on that pedestal for that week. So I'll go with Hawkinson.
Hawkinson, this is how the landscape of tight end is. And we've talked about it before. Hawkinson came in with a total. I'm trying to do the math real quick in my head here. So he had 18 total points after 3 weeks, puts up the 30 burger in week 4, and he's third in the league in terms of tight end scoring. That is crazy to me. But there you go. You can't. We're not gonna. Usually, we don't try to find fault in Todd's answers, but we can't find one in this one. Mikey, star of the week.
All right, there was plenty to choose from, but I kind of wanted to show Alan a little bit of love here because we don't get to do it that often. His team's 3-1. So I am going to give one of my stars to the 49ers defense, who came through big for him Monday night. 23 points, 7 sacks, including a defensive touchdown. Way to go there, Mr. Cook.
Mr. Cook having a good season. San Francisco tied for the Eagles in terms of fantasy defensive points scored, 55, both of them. So pretty amazing. Defenses are hard to figure out. So I've had a rough time trying to figure out defenses, although I did all right this week, although it could have been better. But anyway, San Francisco's defense definitely up there. One that I will take a look at, and I got to figure out which team he actually plays for. So give me 1 second here. Okay, so he plays for a coin. One of the ones that stood out to me, and I know it's not the biggest point total, and we just talked about 30 points from a tight end, but I had to give a little credit to Zach Ertz, who had 6 receptions, a touchdown, 14 points. It's hard to say, 30 points to go from 30 to 14, but Zach Ertz has been pretty incredible. And in a game where it was tight between CUP and Eaton W's, and for him to get another good day from Zach Ertz really stood out to me because tight ends are hard to come by already. And for someone who's been putting close to double figures each and every week, Quayne 3-1, sometimes you need a little luck on your side. And I think that was big for him. And so while Hopkins is out, and I know Arizona hasn't been super great fantasy-wise on offense, Zach Ertz is ranked 4th in our league in points. I don't know if that should be the star of the week. You can talk about Josh Jacobs as well, but Todd, who else did you have?
I'll go with one of your guys, Jamal Williams. Obviously, no DeAndre Swift, but I mean, 2 rushing touchdowns, rushed for 108 yards. I mean, hey, he's taking advantage of his opportunities when Swift is out. But obviously, even with Swift in there, he's been great the last 2 weeks. So kudos to you on that one, sticking with him.
Yeah. 19 attempts, 108 yards, 2 TDs. He's got 6 rushing touchdowns, which leads the NFL. But yeah, even with Swift in there, he had 11 attempts and 12 attempts. And then Swift got banged up in week 3 and ended up with 20 attempts. So they're kind of relying on him heavy. And especially now with Swift hurt, and I don't know if he's going to be back next week. We'll have to wait and see what the situation is after Wednesday, even Thursday.
Hello.
But he's not a guy that when Swift comes back that he's just going to produce nothing. And I think for a team, it's too early to say if they're playoff bound, but it pays off for sure to have him on the squad, and it paid off in a big way. He had a 51-yard rushing touchdown, I think a 30-yard rushing touchdown. So big day for Jamal Williams. Mikey, who else you got?
All right. So Josh Jacobs, I want to make mention, but the other guy for NWA, Miles Sanders. So you had 32 from Jacobs, 28 for Miles Sanders, and each of one of them had 2 touchdowns. Jacobs had a career high in rushing yards in his career. Sanders, 2 rushing touchdowns is impressive because he didn't have any last year. So,
Wow,
yeah, I mean, that duo combined for 60 points, which I don't think anybody saw coming.
Definitely not. And we didn't know. I think, and I'm different on how I viewed how the Eagles were going to play. I didn't think Jalen Hurts was going to come up and just take over the league, and he has done that. And in that regard, and I don't want to say usually, it seems like if you have a rushing quarterback, the running back suffers in terms of receptions, and but things kind of opened up with them having to focus on Jalen Hurts, and Miles Sanders has performed. And I forget the number, but he's one of the leaders in our league in terms of points scored. And so for him to be able to come out, have this great season, he had a great rookie season. He had like 50 receptions. And I remember I drafted him early thinking, well, this is the start of something. And so for Miles Sanders, he's actually 7th in our league in points scored with 67, 356 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns. And he doesn't have a lot of receptions, which usually comes with that territory of a running quarterback, but he's been able to perform, and he's had double digits in 3 of the 4 games so far. Yeah, I mean, there's so many other ones. I mean, we could talk about Tom Brady, and 70 points in a game is great. Didn't necessarily need it, but it was good to kind of get him back on track. And I saw some stuff today that him and his wife are talking to divorce lawyers. So I don't know how that'll affect them going forward, but that is out there. All right. Bust of the week.
What, do you smell something?
Do I smell something? What am I, hard of smelling? Of course I smell something.
Mikey, I'll let you go first. Who stank it up in week 4?
Oh, there is a ton of these out there as well. I wanted to go with a guy, and this is going to be kind of tough, but Darren Waller. I mean, he's been bad, and Gonzo Cat's like, yeah, I mean, 4 points, and Denver is a team that's notoriously bad against tight ends, and he couldn't do anything. Like, I don't know what happened between like the middle of last year up until now, but he just hasn't been good at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of, for someone who hasn't been in a different league, he got hurt last year, and then the emergence of Hunter Renfrow, even when he came back, kind of, I don't know if it slowed him down, or then we come into this season and there's injury talk and there's contract talks, and then he gets the money and he has 10 total targets in the last 2 games. He's had 1 double-digit game and just hasn't really been that threat. I mean, I haven't really seen a Raiders game yet, so I couldn't tell you if he doesn't look fast or if maybe he has an injury they haven't talked about. But you're right, he's not been good whatsoever. Todd, give me a bust of the week.
I will go with Mr. Stephon Diggs. Only 7 points, 4 receptions, 62 yards. Not a typical Stephon Diggs that we've seen the last 3 weeks. Granted it was against Baltimore, but yeah, knowing that Stephon Diggs is the number 1 option for Josh Allen, only putting up 7 points. Usually he had double digits the last few weeks, but only a 7.
Yeah, I'll say in fairness to him, this like most of the players in that game, they were dealing with that hurricane, end of the hurricane weather, and so I don't know. I'm not saying I give him a pass, but I mean, it was definitely a factor.
And that was going to be actually someone from that game was going to be my bust of the week. And you can talk about it because you got to see the game. I did not. But for someone like Lamar Jackson, who only put up 34 points, despite just the incredible point totals he's put up this year with 68 and 64, 20 completions, 73 yards, and 1 passing touchdown. I guess he didn't do too much running the ball, considering the fact that, it's terrible outside and maybe he would prefer him to run. So I'm not sure actually how it played out, but 34 points in a game where Eaton W's could use a few more like touchdown and a couple of extra rush yards, that would have paid off immensely. So 34 points in a game where if it's sloppy outside, usually you're running before passing. And obviously we've seen what Lamar Jackson can do in terms of running the football, but that one stood out to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Mikey, do you have another one?
I do. This is a classic Amari Cooper time. So,
yeah, Amari Cooper trade. Woo-woo, how's that sitting with everybody? Go ahead.
He was good in last week in Cleveland, but the difference is he continues, for whatever reason with him, He's always good at home, and then when he goes on the road, he does nothing. He had one catch for 9 yards for a grand total of 1 point. I don't know what it is about when he goes on the road, but he's a chump when he
Maybe he
plays
gets
on the road.
airsick when they travel. Even on those luxurious planes they roll around in. Maybe he just doesn't like to be on a plane or in a hotel. Maybe he likes to be in his own bed.
Or he goes to Atlanta. Maybe he likes to frequent the strip clubs down there.
You're right. The other game on the road at Carolina, 3 fantasy points.
Uh,
3 for 17. So maybe there's something to that. Next 2 weeks he's at home. So maybe that'll work out for Miles. Todd, did you have another bust?
Yes, Michael Pittman Jr. only 4 points. I mean, obviously, coming into the season, hype around. I mean, obviously, 1 week he was injured, then came back and had a good week, and then this past week, only 4 points, 3 receptions for 31 yards against Tennessee. Ooh, not good, not good.
Yeah, I didn't see that game, but I've heard a lot of negative talk on Matt Ryan that he might be the worst he's ever been, which is a little scary.
Well, then,
it's a little scary. I mean, I don't have anybody on the Colts, but I guess if you're Jonathan Taylor owner or the Michael Pittman owner, could be trouble.
Yeah, well,
it sounds like he's terrible. So I'll be interested to see how he looks.
There's no reason why the Broncos should destroy him on Thursday night, right?
Yeah, well, that's right. I guess I'll get to see that firsthand since that'll be the only game on Thursday night. The last one I'm going to say is Mr. Kyle Pitts. A lot of people high on this tight end coming in. He's had 2, 9, and 2. Like just absurd. And I know it's not all his fault. Mariota, I hear, is not good either. But Drake London seems to be out there as a rookie doing some good work out there. And you don't need a ton from your tight end, right? You're lucky to get – it's a good day if you get 5 receptions for 50 yards. He's not going to destroy you, right? You get a tight end that gets you 6, 7, 8 points. You're probably happy with it. Kyle Pitts, though, not good. So those are the busts. Any surprises? Anything that stood out? Good, bad? Anything we didn't mention you want to talk about in terms of the players in week 4?
Well, I bet the 8 ball didn't see that one coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, surprise. Look at Rashad Penny. Who knew he was alive?
Rashad, you could also say J.K. Dobbins on my team as well, who came kind of out of nowhere. That was my surprise to put up those type of numbers. But, yeah, Penny. But, I mean, how many points were scored in that game? 90-something?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
93 points. Just about everybody benefited in that one. But I told you about Rashad Penny. I liked what I saw from him last year. I know it was slow going for him, and but he only get to play Detroit once this year. So we'll see how he does against New Orleans. He's got a little more of a stout defense, but Penny was phenomenal for sure. 151 yards, 17 attempts, 2 TDs. J.K. Dobbins, who dealing with that injury and the Achilles, and we saw James Robinson kind of rebound from the Achilles and do well. And he came off last week with just 7 attempts and 23 yards, first game coming out, but was able to rush for a touchdown and catch a touchdown as well. He was one of the ones that benefited in that Buffalo Ravens game. Todd, anybody you want to talk about? Anybody that stood out?
I mean, I don't know if this one's a huge surprise, but Rex Burkhead, 12 points. I mean, I think the Texans really need to figure out, like, if Pierce is going to be the guy, if he's going to be the guy, and just run with it, because Pierce got more points, but Rex Burkhead 12 points. I mean, that's I don't know. It just kind of just surprised to me because he was always, even when he was in New England, he'd have his moments. But I'm just, it's just kind of surprised that he, got 12 points when you're thinking Pierce is going to be the guy. I don't know. Maybe those 12 points need to go to Pierce, but that's just a little surprise there.
I think Burkhead benefited because they were behind in that game. And he caught 5 passes and even scored a touchdown on one of those 5 passes. Where Pierce had 34 carries in the last 2 games. He had 25, I think, the previous week. So, or 25 points, I should say. But I think they know who the main running back is, but he may not be the best pass catching running back compared to Burkhead. But Burkhead just took advantage of the situation because they were down big. I remember because I have the Chargers defense and was thinking like, oh, wow, they're killing them. And they scored a bunch of points in that fourth quarter. So I think it was just him benefiting, getting routes. He was able to run some routes and do some things. And I think that's why he kind of stood out. If I had to guess, I'm just going based off the box score. I didn't get to see the game. One guy that didn't have a great weekend, Tony Pollard, just 1 point in a game against the Commanders. Go ahead, Miguel.
No, I just wondered about that. Why did he play Tony Pollard over Dalvin Cook, who was his first round pick?
Yeah. Now, correct. I said the same thing because I was obviously playing Gonzo Cats, and I was up at 7:00 in the office watching the Minnesota game. And as we got closer to 7:30, I was like, I wonder if he's going to switch him out. And the game starts, and he hadn't switched him out. So I don't know if it was he was worried about the Cook because he was injured, right? And they were saying, but they said all week that if he wears this certain brace, that he'll be fine and he'll go out there and play. He's dealt with it before. And Pollard had double figures in back-to-back games. I don't know. Maybe he just assumed the game didn't start until 11 and he was still asleep at 7 in the morning, 7:30 in the morning. I don't know the answer to that, but yeah, it would have made a huge difference, but still you try to play your top dogs when you can. Anything else before we move on to the schedule for next week? Anything else stand out? All right. So here is what's coming up. Go ahead.
I was going to say Cam Akers. That's another one too. Yeah, Cam Akers. I was going to say Cam Akers 1 point, but
struggling right now.
Yeah,
Cam Akers, Henderson. Yeah. How about our boy Mr. Robinson? Right?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's.
Jeez. I mean, everybody was kind of high on him going in, and he's not getting looks at all in a game they were kind of behind. It's Cooper Kupp and Tyler Higbee, and that's it. So poor Mr. Allen Robinson is playing third, fourth, fifth fiddle. I don't know. They paid him a lot of money to come over, and he is still not doing anything. Here's what's coming up in week 5 in the MHA. Perhaps the matchup of the week, 2-2 Lemonheads battling the 3-1 Hot Tamales. And guess what? This weekend, Eric gets that Sunday off. So he'll be able to watch all the games and do so with Mikey, I don't know, a few feet away. So it could be incredibly fun or incredibly depressing, but they're going to go toe-to-toe. The other podcaster on this show, they will look to take down another giant in the defending champs. 2-2 Butterfingers gunning for 3-1 Notorious CUP. Lion Rip look to get back on that winning track, facing off against 1-3 Cooper's Cousins in a battle of 1-3 teams. Boy, the loser of this one's going to be in tough situation. NWA hopes to make it back-to-back weeks, going toe-to-toe with Eaton W's. 3-1 Belt Sanders looking for win number 4, and will do so against Gonzo Cats, who sit at 2-2. And 5th place Kilgore Trout at 2-2 have the Chad Powers Fan Club, who need a win in a big way, hoping to improve to 1-3 on the season. You ready for this matchup, Miguel? If you just look at the prediction on the matchup, it has you 147 to 154, and that is by far like the highest combined total for a week. So that should be interesting, and it's going to come down to Monday night when the Chiefs play the Raiders. So I could be crying into my dinner or whatever's going on because Patrick Mahomes destroys the Raiders, and you have Kelsey.
Yeah, I mean, it could be that Monday night game. You better have a good lead, is all I can say.
No kidding. I can't get my screen to go forward. Why not? What's wrong with you, screen? But you're absolutely right. Tom Brady does have a juicy matchup against Atlanta, and so hopefully I can get a little bit of a lead there. So we'll see. It should be fun, though. It'll be the first weekend for me in terms of not having to work on a Sunday. So I'm excited for that. Do you have anybody on the Thursday night game, Miguel?
Nope. No Thursday night people.
So we can totally just focus on the Broncos winning and not having to worry about anybody for Thursday night. At least anybody in my current lineup. I don't think I have anybody. So that's good to see. So that'd be fun.
Yeah.
And Todd, the defending champs.
I mean, again, I got to get off to a good start on Thursday night. Wilson and Judy have to get another good performance from
good start.
Yep, that's the thing.
Get off to a good start.
Because let's face it, it's Thursday night. Well, I think, especially when you have your quarterback playing and and especially you have two players and it's a quarterback and wide receiver. Yeah, I have to get off to a good start because it's going to dictate the rest of the weekend. Of how I'm going to be feeling, or what's the lead going to look like, because it really actually might even come down to Monday night too, because I have Clyde Edwards-Helaire on Monday night. So yeah, Thursday night.
More running by Clyde Edwards-Helaire. 4 rushing touchdowns. Let's do it. Let's keep Patrick Mahomes off the stat sheet, which no one's been able to do. I mean, just what he did against Tampa. Like, they destroyed, and Tampa's got one of the best defenses in the league, and they destroyed them. Well, there you go, gentlemen. Mike, you didn't scream once about your fantasy baseball team.
I wanted to. Good stuff happened. So.
Oh yeah, things are going well.
Yeah,
love to hear that. I usually don't root for Mikey when it comes to that, but I'm rooting for him hard this year. So good luck, Miguel, on that. Good luck to everyone here this week. Good luck to all of you. For most of you. Maybe not good luck to Mikey since I'm playing him, but excited to watch football this weekend. So for Mikey Renault, Todd Diamond, I'm Eric Lansing. Of course, we'll see you next time on the MHA podcast.